Welcome to Tuesday Tips. Tonight's topic is a little bit more sensitive. November is National Hospice Month, and as many of you that have been following Linda and I, you know that we have a strong background in hospice, and we've also written a book on that topic, Your Cracking the Hospice Code, Your Nurse Advocates Debunk the Top 10 Misconceptions of Hospice. But that's not what we're here to talk about during these Tuesday Tips. If having that conversation with an aging loved one has been something that you've been putting off as far as what should end of care, lives look like for your loved one, or just wanting to know what their plans are. That's not an easy conversation. So that's the topic for conversation for this Tuesday tip. So welcome. My name is Pam Dunwald. I am one of your nurse advocates from Your Nurse Advocates Consulting, and we are glad you are here. And I just want to make sure that I let everybody know that if you're not with us live and you catch us on the replay, I just want to say thanks for catching up with us on the replay. So let's go ahead and get started. So the topic that we're going to talk about, it's both challenging and it's deeply important, and it can be an emotional topic as well. And that's having those end of life discussions with our aging loved ones. These conversations, they can be tough, but it's an essential part of providing compassionate care and support. And so let's talk a little bit about how we can approach these talks with empathy and understanding. It's not going to be difficult for either the adult children or the grandchildren or the family versus the aging adult. But I will tell you that it's super important because, in the case of an emergency, if we don't know what our loved ones' wishes are, so that even if we don't have the paperwork done, even if the advance directives aren't done, even if those things don't get done before you need them, it's important to have that conversation so you know what their wishes are. I bring this up a couple, every once in a while, but we early on, we were interviewing adult children of aging parents, and we were asking them what were they most concerned about, or what were their biggest fears in managing the care of their aging parents. And the most common theme was that they're fearful for making the wrong decisions. And so this is a conversation, again, that's not, comfortable. It's not, dinner time conversation that everyone wants to have, but it's necessary to know what your aging loved ones want so that you can feel comfortable and have that burden lifted off of you as far as what they would want. Because what you may want when end of life cares are something to be considered may be completely different than what your aging loved one would want. And there is no right or wrong, but we got to remember that we don't want to impose our beliefs and our choices on those aging loved ones in our family. We need to really try and respect those wishes. And the only way we're going to know is either we're fortunate enough to have them done and completed in an advance directive or a living will. Otherwise, it's going to come down to a conversation. So first, let's talk about why these decisions matter. So end-of-life conversations, they're not just about planning, which, we just talked a little bit about, but it's about respecting wishes. We touched on that, ensuring that they're comfortable and that everybody has the peace of mind that's involved, that everybody's can agree that we're all doing the right things because this is what mom or dad or grandma and grandpa would want. So when we open the door, really to have these talks and these conversations, we're really acknowledging the dignity and the autonomy of our loved ones. And I just want to take a minute to focus on that, because when we have these conversations, we're allowing them to make their own choices. We're allowing them to exert what little independence they may have at their stage of their life. Independence that they've been losing little by little, chipping away at their independence probably for years when they get, possibly when they get to this point. And this is something that we can do to let them feel autonomous, let them feel that they are able to still have some independence in being able to make these decisions. And the dignity is the fact that we're allowing them to have a say-so in what happens when they're no longer able to make those decisions, for themselves. So it's an opportunity for them to share. And it's also an opportunity for us to listen, and to listen intently. Again, non-judgmentally. Again, we may not agree with their wishes, but they are their wishes, and we need to agree as a family that, to honor their wishes. And we talked about in emergencies, we talked about having paperwork in place, and we talk a lot about that in other videos. If you really want to focus on that topic of, say, advanced directives or a living will, things like that, please go to the YouTube channel and for your nurse advocate consulting. And there are many videos we have, and just put in the search bar advanced directives, and we have several videos there that can help you walk you through that in a little bit more detail. So approaching this conversation requires empathy and patience. Empathy means basically being able to put yourself in their shoes, look at it from their perspective. And that's what empathy is. So, trying not to look at it through your own lens, but trying to look at it through their eyes and see it from their point of view. And patience. And because they may not tell you everything all at once. It may take several conversations for you to be able to get everything out in the open. They may be reluctant to talk about it, but then maybe they have the loss of a friend or a family member, and it gets them thinking that, well, maybe I didn't really like how this funeral went, or I didn't appreciate this. That's not how I would like things. And maybe they start to realize that they need to share these feelings so that they have some input. So here's a couple of tips. So number one, try and choose the right time and place. Holiday gathering, when the holidays are coming up, that could be a good time or it might be a bad time. And every family is different. So you're going to have to kind of take the pulse on that, because the good thing is that you probably have, most of your family around with you, or more extended family with you. And again, but if your family leans to, and it's hard for me to say, because me being a nurse and me being, so passionate about this, it would be easier for me to have this conversation, but it may not be for others. So you have to kind of gauge the pulse of your family and your aging loved ones. And so you may just need a quiet, comfortable setting where you won't be interrupted, and maybe pick a day and a time where your loved one feels relaxed and they feel open to chatting. Maybe they don't feel open, discussing with this whole family. Maybe they need just a one-on-one with one of the family members to open the conversation. And as the conversation gets open, then over time, they may be able to feel comfortable talking more about it. Second tip is, start with love and care. Don't say, Mom and Dad, we know that the end is going to come sooner or later, and we really want to know what you want, and we haven't had this conversation, and I think it's about time we talk about it. I mean, if your family is more direct and that's how your parents want to have that conversation, by all means, be direct. If you need to be a little bit more slow or a little more gentle with a conversation, that's okay too. Like I said, there is no wrong or right way, as long as we're being respectful and honoring our aging loved ones and approaching them in a way that they would feel appreciated, that it was, that the discussion was being shared. And just make sure you start out the conversation again with expressing your love and concern. You might say something like, I care about you deeply. I love you. I want to make sure that your wishes are honored in every way possible. And that's truly what this conversation should be all about. And the third tip would be is, use gentle language. Words do matter. Phrases like "when the time comes," is a lot more gentle than saying "when you die" or "when you pass away." And so just being cognizant, being aware of the word choices that you use could make all the difference in the world in having the conversation go well versus having the conversation go not so well. And if you're looking, at it like from the future, now we know we don't really have to worry about this today, but in the future we may have to. So I'd really like to start to get the conversation, because I really don't want to make the wrong decisions in case, something happens and we're put in that situation. I really would love to get your feedback because I really want things to go the way that you would like them to go. So again, to make these conversations positive, make sure you're doing as much listening as possible. This should be an open opportunity for them to get all these things off their chest, to share, let you know how they feel. How do they feel about end of life cares? Do they want to be in a hospital? This is the time where you may say, well, mom or dad, would you be open to hospice? And they may say, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with hospice. Let's not have that conversation. And they might not be ready to talk about the kind of things that hospice can. And I think that's one of the reasons why Linda and I wrote the book, is so that people that had concerns and fears about hospice, that they could read stories of several people that have gone on the journey, and all the stories are different, and to get them an idea of what that's like and what a journey through hospice is. And sometimes that can help alleviate their fears. So maybe our book might be a gift, that might be appropriate for someone that has questions about that. And again, sometimes a third party, information does a better, they can accept that more than coming from their family. And that's just the way it is. We just look to third party experts, before we'll take the word of our family, because we don't have a lot of credibility with our family. I mean, our family sees us at our best, and they also see us at our worst. So, just be patient. This isn't a conversation, like we mentioned, that needs to be, concluded in one setting. You don't need to get everything out on the table all at one time. Just allow your aging loved one or family member to, express themselves at their own pace. And you'll know, I mean, if they're starting to get uncomfortable, you can say, hey, mom, hey, dad, this was a good start. And I know this isn't something that, you seem not to want to carry on this conversation for much longer. So let's go ahead. Let's put it to bed for right now. We got a little start, and just know that I'm open to talking about it. When you're ready, let me know, or is it okay if I bring it up again, in the future? And just take the pulse of that. Last one, seek clarity. So again, asking gentle questions to help clarify their wishes. Would you like me to write this down so we remember? Can be another helpful thing. So, and ask their permission. I mean, maybe overwhelming to them if you start taking all these notes. So maybe start saying, I don't want to, these are important things. I don't want to forget. Would it be okay if I just jotted down a few of these things that we're talking about, so that we know what we discussed and we can, look back on them? So support is available. If you go to our website, and I'll go ahead and just drop the link in there. And Dee Dee, thanks for the love there. This is the website. So if you go to our blog, you will see that there are, we just recently did a blog post on having these conversations. And there's a lot of resources that I shared, like from the National Institute on Aging, a lot of credible resources where you can get much more information about dealing with the topic of end of life. So we have lots of those for you. And, as we get ready to wrap up today's segment, I just want to say, let's acknowledge one more thing. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge a common challenge, the discomfort the adult children may often feel when initiating these conversations. It's not easy to start these discussions, especially when the roles seem reversed and your aging parents might be more open to talking about this than you are. So sometimes it's not the aging adult that has the trouble discussing this delicate topic. It's us. I mean, it's the adult children, it's the family members, because they don't want to think about those possibilities. But oftentimes our aging loved ones are at the point in their life where they know what's coming, and they're more at peace with that than maybe we are. So make sure that you're kind of checking yourself and saying, now who's struggling with the conversation here? Is it me, or is it our aging loved one? So that's just one of the caveats, one of the things that I wanted to bring up. So, it's not easy, 100%. Hands down, it's not easy to start these discussions, especially, when you're uncomfortable having this conversation. So just know it's perfectly normal to feel uneasy. These conversations, they touch on, really deep emotions and fears. And it's okay to admit that it's hard to remember. You're not alone in feeling this way. I mean, we've all had these feelings. So here's some practical things to overcome some of the discomforts, and then we will wrap up. So seek support. You don't have to go this alone. Reach out to siblings or other family members who can, share the responsibility. Sometimes, having a partner in these talks can make a world of difference. Talk to professionals. There's end of life doulas. There are hospice. There are social workers. There's so many resources within the healthcare community where you can get some advice. Even if you need to seek a mental health counselor, speak to someone who specializes in family dynamics and or elder care. They can help you how to develop the language to start these conversations, and they can often offer strategies to ease these conversations much more comfortably. Focus on the benefits, and I think that's really important. Remind yourself of the positive outcomes that these discussions are going to bring. Again, autonomy for your aging loved ones, independence, you being comfortable knowing the right decisions that should be made, and that you're ensuring that your loved ones' wishes are respected, and that future decisions can be made with clarity and also the confidence that you're doing the right thing. And lastly, practice self-compassion. Give yourself some grace, acknowledge your feelings without judgment, and, take the time you need to prepare emotionally. In our blog post, we shared a couple of stories about going through the 5 stages and the different stages of grief. And I gave some real life examples of that. So that might help you too, knowing where some struggles may arise. So remember, these conversations, they're out of an act of love, always come from a loving place. By facing this discomfort, you're opening the door to a deeper understanding and connection with your loved ones, and, embrace the opportunity with both courage and empathy. Again, putting yourself in their shoes. So thanks for joining us for this Tuesday Tips. We will see you next week right back here, same time, same station. Take care, everyone. Have a great night.